Hey, dear patrons, Edwin Culver here with another big ol' update on the projects as we're moving forward right now. Uh, Focusing, as I've told you guys, on writing a lot of music right now, but I'd also like to teach some stuff as we're going along the way. So I might break these videos up into a few different pieces, but we're going to go over a little bit into the piece I'm writing right now. It's my very first sonata. It's a pretty big piece. And then I'm going to give you guys an inside look on the artwork as it's actually been finished. All of the artwork has been finished for the new CD that's coming out. And then I thought I'd also kind of show you the process of what it's going to take to print those CDs and everything like that, how to order them and stuff like that, so you get the inside scoop there. And then I'm going to finish off with something that I think will be a little unique and pretty exciting. Just a few days ago, I went and heard a symphony performed live, and it's a very, very, very special symphony, a very important symphony in history. In fact, the conductor, when he was there talking about it, he said, it's one of the great works of art in all of the 20th century, and it's actually the Fifth Symphony by Dmitri Shostakovich. So I actually, while I was there, kind of snapped a few videos of myself talking about the piece and the meaning behind it, what led to its conception, and kind of the reaction, because Shostakovich wrote that piece during Stalin's reign, and it was actually kind of the piece that he wrote to save his life after he'd been declared an enemy of the public by Stalin. So those are the things we're going to run through in these series of videos. So I wanted to start off with, boy, this is all at once invigorating to write this much music, and exhausting and twisting my brain into all sorts of different ways. Let's show you guys, let's demystify some of the writing process for you, because I think there's this common conception, the word genius, and I'm not calling myself a genius. I'm just saying, when we think of like writing great pieces of art, we think of the great geniuses, toiling away and spending all this time, but also having this strange component of inspiration. And then we kind of also include in there like the word talent. Like some people have innate talent to do things. And I do think that the talent does exist in many forms, and that there is kind of innate dispositions towards being good at certain things and having a passion for those things. But there's also what comes along with the hard work and all the time spent into honing a craft. I think, the big thing a lot of people we've been missing out on for so long, and I only really recently realized this when I had a mentor show it to me, but it's something called pattern recognition. And my mentor, kind of told me that probably the better phrase for someone who's a genius is someone who recognizes patterns. They've just spent a ton of time focusing in on something until they see the patterns. And to them, once they start operating in that field, it's just kind of like speaking a language, right? We don't really think about the words that we're saying as we speak them. They're just so like ingrained in us that we can just speak, without even really trying. It just happens. It just kind of rolls out. It's very natural. Same thing with, writing music or creating other forms of art. When we kind of see this spooky thing, like a composer like Dmitri Shostakovich, writes a whole symphony in their head and orchestrates the entire thing, and the thing's like an hour long, for a 120-person orchestra, and they're able to just write this in their head and scribble it down on paper, and it comes out perfect. We look at it and we're like, it's perfect. To Shostakovich, he's more thinking, well, I just do that pattern, that pattern, that pattern, and just kind of all interconnects. So what I've been doing is, and you guys can see my screen right now, what happened is I started writing this piece, and it's a sonata, and there's all sorts of things I'd love to tell you guys about this sonata. So what you need to know is a sonata in the first place. It's a type of music that came around in the classical period, in the 1600s, 1700s. That's really when it kind of became what we know a sonata as. And usually what would happen in a sonata is you'd have two themes. The first theme, theme one, and the second theme two. And these two themes would contrast with each other. There'd be something different between these two themes. You can see already here I'm getting kind of a suggestion for a sonatine there. So a sonata usually has two themes, and you hear these two themes, and then after the themes you have this extended middle section. And in this middle section, it's called the development section. And that's where all sorts of things can happen. That's kind of where the composer can just have fun. He can, kind of experiment with the full range of the instrument he's writing for. That's just where he, gets to take those two themes and maybe pit them against each other. Sometimes unite them in harmony. Sometimes, one kind of seems to be overtaking the other. There's really just endless possibilities of what a composer can do in this middle section called the development section. So we've got our two themes, then they get developed, and then at the end, we get what's called a recapitulation, where these two themes come back, but sometimes, and usually it's the second theme, sometimes the second theme comes out changed, comes out a little different. And sometimes that can mean the first and the second theme are really sort of harmonized with each other, or sometimes they're a little bit even more at odds with each other. But usually something has changed when we get to the end. So that's kind of a general just overview of what happens in a sonata. And I've written like piano sonatas and stuff like that before, but I've never actually written one for the guitar. So I started studying other sonatas and other pieces that use sonata form. And I even started studying a piece I heard the other night. It's up here. Tchaikovsky, if I can spell Tchaikovsky, violin concerto. And what I actually started doing, we'll look at this one right here. Please don't flag me for copyright, YouTube. You can see it's already kind of starting in the middle here. So one thing that doesn't, it sometimes gets glossed over is you see here this treble clef, and this says solo violin. Okay, so this means solo violin. So this is the music for the violin that's going on in this violin concerto written by Tchaikovsky. I happened to hear it the other night at the same concert that I heard the symphony I'm going to tell you guys about later tonight. And so this piece really inspired me. And what I realized is, the violin, the music for the violin is written on the exact same staff as for the guitar. Like we got this music here that's for, the violas, and this music right here, it's written for the cellos. And we see it's got a bass clef here, or here it's got what's called a C clef or an alto clef. So that means you got to read the music a little differently. The notes don't line up. Usually this right here is a G, but in this case it's actually an A. And things like that. It's just kind of weird. You got to move notes around. You got to think about things in extra detail. And writing music for guitar just wouldn't really work there. You actually wouldn't be able to find that note on the guitar as easily. But for violin, it just so happens it's all written almost the exact same way. So what I actually started doing is I would go and I would sift through this piece by Tchaikovsky, and these are other pieces. And this is actually something I picked up from a mentor also. And this is what the great composers did, like Bach, years ago. Copy it all out. And you probably can't see that in detail right now. But I would just spend the time, and I wouldn't be trying to get anything out of it. I'd just be spending time with it. And I'd look and see, okay, first I'm going to copy this all out. I'll copy a passage. And once I see, okay, where is he going? What notes is he using? Then I can kind of see, oh, okay, he's using these chords. Oh, I can see the pattern that he's using. Like right now I can see, right here, this is just a scale pattern. That little scale pattern is actually going to come back right here. Okay, so that's the exact same pattern as was found there. And then also notice this little figure right here. This is what's called an arpeggio, but he's doing these. You can see the shape I'm kind of outlining with my mouse right now. Well, guess what? That exact same shape or that exact same pattern is right there. He's just doing it on a different chord. So that's kind of what starts to happen is you start to see these patterns, the directions and everything like that. And once you start seeing these patterns that someone else has done, it's very easy to turn around and start applying them in your own music. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the score for this sonata that I'm writing right now. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see all of it right yet. My software for typing up the music is not cooperating. I'll probably do a separate video on the solution that I'm finding. But I'll talk about the title for this piece in a bit. But you can see here, I've written here, theme 1, right? And let me pull up the guitar. Okay, you've got to forgive me. I'm not practiced at all. I'm focusing on writing. I'm not focusing on learning and playing my instrument, so I'm probably not going to be able to play this very well, but this is kind of what theme 1 sounds like. And I'm going to stop right there because then it gets real tricky. I kind of made it up to right here, and then you get these triplets. And hey, remember when I told you about that pattern, that sort of scale pattern? It's a very easy way to get from one place to another. Kind of use it as a transition. So, like I said, we get theme 1, and then we get some stuff that happens in between, which is called transitional material. I'm going to fast forward all the way to boom, right here. We get theme 2. Now, theme 2 is actually very different from theme 1. Hopefully you can see my mouse and stuff right here. But suddenly the rhythm really kind of slows down. Notice how we're getting these just kind of these long notes. This is the melody. So you can notice how it's just got a little bit. It's got a very different flavor. It's a very different feel from what I played here in theme 1. Theme 1 is much more flowing, kind of just a constant momentum to it. It just keeps pushing and pushing. Versus this one's just a little bit more. I'm not going to try playing the chords with it. Yeah, no way I'm going to be able to do that right now. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice how I'm using these patterns. Ta ta ti ta ta ti ta 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 ti ta ta ti ta. But moving it around so that it's constantly changing, that sort of thing, and putting chords underneath it. Okay, so that's theme 2. What comes after theme 1 and theme 2? The development section, right? Now, I've made this quite a lengthy development section. I'll probably go and do a separate video just on this development section and explain all that's happening. Because I kind of start to take theme 1 right here, but then I actually take and drop in some notes from underneath. So it really kind of changes the character of that first theme. And I'll probably do, like I said, a separate video just breaking down everything that's going on in the development section. But for now, we want to do just a quick overview. You see all this blank space here. This is where I did not have, the computer program does not have the capability to type in what I wrote on paper, unless I upgrade the computer program for a lot of money. And I think I'm going to do something else, which I might reveal in this video, might reveal in a different video. But soon, the rest of the development section will get typed up. I've got it written on paper right now. But and then remember, like I said, after the development section, we get this recapitulation. So we're going to get theme 1 comes back, but I actually made theme 1 just a little bit different. I added, you can see it right here, this really low notes underneath of it every once in a while. I don't know if I can finger this without having practiced it. Yeah. And then here, I really love this harmony. Yeah, if I can play it. and so on and so forth. And please, please forgive me. I am not practicing my instrument right now. Now, here's where I told you often what will happen is when we get in the recapitulation, theme 2 gets changed. Last time when I played this theme, it was in B flat major, which obviously sounds a little more regal, more stately, more sure of itself. But in this case, it's actually going to come back in C sharp minor. And I don't even know if I can think of this right now. What did I write? Yeah. And then this craziness. How did I do this? I don't know what I was doing. Oh, I think I did it this way. I was going to end on this really, really sad. And then we get kind of a brief coda and that sort of thing, and I can talk about that more later. So the sonata is coming. It's coming. As you can see, you basically have a full draft of it. We just need to fill out more of the details and go from there. So let me know what you guys think of that sonata so far, the writing of it. Would really, really, really appreciate your feedback and on things you think, directions you think it could go, things you would like to hear more from it. I'll soon we'll have a practiced version and be able to play that. Now, would like to move next to show you the artwork for the CD. So I think I'll make it a separate video. It'll probably pop up right here. You can click to see the artwork for the next CD. If you haven't already, hit the like button and the bell on this video. When you hit the like button, it helps out a ton with the algorithm and helps YouTube promote it and know that this is content that people enjoy. And if you'd like other people to be able to share in on some of this musical journey with you guys, I would love it if you hit that like button. And until then, check out the artwork.